stay up to date with the latest going on with the Tan and J-Man Show on social media, where can they follow us and like us at, J-Man?
You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Tan and J-Man Show, follow us on Instagram at The Tan and J-Man Show. Also, give us a review on Facebook or Apple Podcasts. We are starving for reviews, whether it be a 5-star review or a 1-star review. We'd like it either way.
Tune in and listen to the Tan and J-Man Show every Monday night, where you'll hear hot takes, topics, picks, and more.
Welcome back to the Tan and J-Man Show, first of the decade. Tan and J-Man Show live on the ISC Sports Network, as well as the free ISC Sports Network app and their Twitter and Facebook page. Go check us out. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce my co-host today in 2020. For the first time, the Tan Man.
What's up?
What's up? As you can see, I'm rocking my Illini sweatshirt, but we'll get into that a little later. Do you have some Birdie Bogey for me?
I do.
I'll try not to look at your computer while you're
this is going to be challenging. So, as of May 2019, Greg Popovich was the leading NBA head coach in active wins. Leading active NBA coach with wins with 1,234. Can you name me 3 of the 4 guys behind him?
Active wins.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I have some guesses.
Okay.
But I will wait till the end of the show.
Giving you a shot, letting you only name 3. It could have been like name all of the next 4.
So he's number 1.
And you don't even have to get them in order. Just 3 of the 4.
Okay.
So.
Perfect.
And the Birdie Bogey, the first Birdie Bogey in 2020, is brought to you by the Noble Gnome LLC, fresh, locally grown, nutrient-dense produce from Bryce and Katie Roan Mine of Mentone, Indiana. You can like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram at Noble Gnome. And, of course, you can check out their website, noblegnomellc.com. Can't get any veggies right now, but here in a couple months you will be able to.
Get your veggies in a couple months.
All kind of organically grown vegetables. So fresh, nutrient-dense, like I said.
I have some on this day for you. Back in 1681, that was a long time ago.
1681.
The first recorded boxing match ever happened. The Duke of Albemarle's butler versus his butcher.
I just had envisioned some guy against like a kangaroo or something, and them calling it as like the first boxing match ever.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Let's see. Back in 1976, old Ted Turner purchased the Atlanta Braves for a reported $12 million. $12 million for a Major League Baseball franchise.
I wonder what that equivalates to today.
You got an inflation calculator on your computer?
I can look it up, but I'm not going to.
Now they're running a lot more than $12 million.
Just a little bit. I read when Steinbrenner and a 12-man group bought the Yankees, it was for like $10 million back in the 70s.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Back in 1980, Philadelphia Flyers set NHL record of 35 straight games without a defeat.
That's pretty impressive.
Not too
Broad
shabby.
Street Bullies.
Let's see here. Back in 1992, the New York Yankees signed free agent Danny Tartable. You remember Danny Tartable? Don't remember Danny Tartable?
No, I don't.
Come on, man.
You?
No.
Okay.
In 1995, Atlanta Hawks coach Lenny Wilkens passed the legendary Red Auerbach to become NBA's all-time winningest coach with 939 career victories. So I don't know how many Lenny Wilkens ended up with.
He's second all-time.
Who's number 1? Is it?
Don Nelson.
Oh, interesting.
Should ask you that.
You get a birdie.
Thanks.
Back in 2014, the final BCS National Championship was played in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Can you name the
Florida
outcome?
State beat Auburn.
Score.
34-31.
Ooh, that's another birdie for you.
Jameis threw to Kelvin Benjamin.
Yes, sir.
Where's Kelvin Benjamin now?
He wasn't with the Colts. I was thinking
With the
of that.
Bills, wasn't he? Last time I knew.
Yeah, he signed like mid-season last year, or traded mid-season. Forgot about him. He was with the Panthers. I don't think he's anywhere now. Back 2 years ago today, Chucky returned to the NFL as Oakland Raiders head coach.
Beautiful. He's only 2 games above 500 for his career.
pretty bad. And they gave him, what, $100 million?
10-year, $100 million.
$10 million a year.
Yep.
Do you know he was broadcasting Monday Night Football from 2009 to 2017?
I knew it was a while.
Time.
Yeah.
That'll do it for On This Day. Not a whole lot happening on January 6th in the world. So you want to just get right into it? You want to talk a little college hoops?
I don't want to, but we will.
Josh does.
Lead it off, J-Man.
So as you can see, I'm happy today because my Illini. For once, seriously, Purdue had won 14-17 against Illinois in basketball coming into last night.
Sure doesn't feel like it.
It sure does feel like it. Let me tell you. You guys lost a football game this year to them too, so maybe the tides are changing here. I like to see it. I don't believe it, but it's nice to finally beat the Boilers. They got up, what was it, 11-0?
Yeah.
And it was...
it felt like it was 105-0.
I know they cut it down to 9 at one point, but that was about the
second half.
Closest they got.
Yeah, it really was.
This is kind of the Illinois team I was expecting this year. Of course, not winning by 26, but they have a couple good wins. Michigan's a really good win at home, and then Purdue, I think, will end up being a good win at home. Tanner doesn't believe me. But they also have some bad losses to Missouri and Oregon. They are
Oregon?
Or Oregon. I was thinking, they play Oregon all the time. They played Miami and lost to them.
Oh, I was going to say, when did you play Oregon? I was going to say, Oregon's not a bad loss.
Kind of same color. Well, how was I thinking Oregon?
I really don't know, Josh. I can't help you there.
Kind of same colors.
Green.
But they are immensely better than last year. I mean, they won 12 games last year, and they're already up to 10. It's mainly due to their defense. Right now, believe it or not, they have the highest defensive efficiency through the first 4 games in the conference so far. And they've had the hardest schedule out of anyone in the conference, playing at Maryland, at Michigan, and then Michigan State, or at Michigan State, and then Michigan and Purdue at home. And it's mainly due to their Brad Underwood's change in philosophy that he's not overly happy with usually playing, but he kind of had to due to
Would you rather play at Maryland or at Iowa? Because Michigan, I think, went at Iowa, at Michigan State.
Michigan won at home against Iowa.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would.
Never mind. I
take
that back.
At Maryland. I think Maryland's
I
better.
will not argue with your point you made then.
But they've kind of had to change their defense. I mean, last year and the year before, they were that pressure, 40 minutes of hell defense pretty much, where they were just all in your face all game long. That didn't work because they didn't have the athletes to do it. They would force a bunch of turnovers, but teams would shoot just an absurd percentage from the floor, and they just couldn't get stops consistently. They've gone to more of a traditional pack line defense. That's mainly due to Kofi Coburn because he's not the quickest guy out there and can't really guard out past the three-point line. He just having him and Georgie on the floor, they've had to go to this more traditional pack line, and it's worked wonders so far. As I said, they're the best defense efficiency in the conference right now through the first 4 games. They're playing really good defense, and hopefully it can keep up. Alan Griffin, last night, you asked me, I think on Friday, you said, who's this Allen guy? Because you'd never really heard of him. And I think you know now. Had 16 points.
I turned the game off with like 100 minutes left. So
16 points, 12 rebounds last night. He had 19 points and 9 rebounds against Michigan State. He was a guy that was kind of unheralded out of high school. Illinois offered him in the summer going into his senior year, but kind of kept tabs on him throughout the year. Finally went all out for him in, I think, February. Didn't have many great offers, but he committed to Illinois, and then I think Xavier and Seton Hall came in with an offer later, but he didn't see the floor a ton his freshman year, but all throughout the offseason, summer, into that Italy trip in August and into the fall, his teammates and coaches were raving about him. It didn't really translate on the court until about 5 or 6 games ago, but he has been arguably their second or third best player in that stretch, averaging 15 points a game and I think 6 rebounds. He's known as a really good shooter, but he played harder than anyone last night. He was getting offensive rebounds, putbacks. He was just playing harder than anyone, and those are the kind of guys you build your program with. Ayo Dosunmu didn't shoot the ball well last night, but that's mainly due to Nojel Eastern's defense. He is one of the best.
The only reason he ever sees the court, ever.
Perimeter defender in maybe the country.
He's pretty good at defense.
But Ayo has affected the game in other ways. He defended really well, has been one of the better defenders on their roster this year, and he's rebounded well. He had 7 rebounds last night, averaging 6 rebounds a game and close to 16 points per game over his last 6. Turned the ball over less. He's playing well. Trent Frazier hasn't shot the ball well. He kind of lost his swagger a little bit. I mean, his freshman year, he just would go off for 30. Even last year, he did that. But this year, he's been mainly focused on defense. And as of right now, I would think he would be a All-Big Ten defender. I mean, you look at the guys he's shut down. He shut down Anthony Cowan. Besides that 40-footer to tie the game out there. He shut down Xavier Simpson, shut down Mark Smith. I mean, Cassius Winston got his own because Cassius Winston's the best player in the conference. But then it really held Sasha Stefanovic in check. I mean, he was third in the Big Ten.
It's not hard to do away from Mackey.
3-point shooting this year percentage means 45%, sure. But he had really no open looks. The only open looks he got were off offensive rebounds. He just shadowed him all game.
He got some good looks.
You thought so?
I thought the team got some good looks. They just do what they do away from Mackey. Can't make jack crap.
I disagree with Tanner. I thought Illinois' defense was superb last night. And sure, they might have missed some.
Like 8 layups.
Well, that's just having
up around the rim.
Kofi Coburn out there.
I mean,
I will say
Purdue is the worst 2-point shooting team I've ever seen this whole year. They are.
Well, you have 7'3" Mount Harms, but sometimes, I mean, he had 26 against Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Then he bounces back and just
away from Mackey.
He plays small at times. I mean, Kofi took it right at him.
The whole team was soft.
Took him right at him.
Last night.
Travion Williams, I think, ended up with 6 points. He didn't play.
2 fouls real fast. That takes him out of his game.
So, Illinois really needs Georgi Bashanishvili to step up. He just hasn't been good this year. It's been a struggle having him and Kofi on the court at the same time. You're going to have to do it, but at times you might need to start staggering some playing time. Georgie just hasn't looked comfortable at the 4. I mean, they had some nice high-low moments in the non-conference against low majors, but now that coaches are getting better, scouting reports are getting better, players are getting better, it's been struggle in high major games. Still believe in Georgie, of course, but he's getting a little frustrated. I mean, last night he knocked down a huge 3, which hopefully was huge for his confidence. And once again, he got 2 fouls within the first 8 minutes and didn't play rest of the first half. So Illinois had the toughest schedule in the Big Ten to date, and now they have another tough one at Wisconsin. I think they are
Wisconsin's good at home.
26th in the net rating right now, which that means nothing here, January 6th. But this is not your grandfather's Wisconsin team. Actually, our grandfather's Wisconsin team was terrible. It's not our father's. Even our father's Wisconsin team was terrible.
Our lifetime, they've been good.
It's not a typical Wisconsin team. It did. Illinois has not won there since 2010, have only won there 4 times since 91. They have not beaten Wisconsin at all since Bruce Weber was the coach. I think it was maybe that game in 2010.
They're coming off a big win at Ohio State.
Coming off a big win at Ohio State. I'm actually fairly confident going in because I just think this is the year they have to get it done. It'll be an interesting matchup.
I'm never confident on the road in the Big Ten.
Nobody should.
Nice. No.
I mean, only, 3 road wins so far in the conference?
Sounds right.
It's brutal.
4,
and then they play a very good Rutgers team at home next Sunday.
There's not a lot of gimme games, really.
This is as deep of a conference I think Big Ten's ever had. Really, there's only 2 teams I would say that you feel good about getting a win against, and one of them Purdue lost to. At Nebraska, so
yep, it's
if you guys were to play at Nebraska, say in February, I think you'd get them.
I don't know. We're gonna see what happens. Purdue's got 3 tough games coming up: at Michigan Thursday, then at home Sunday on national television, CBS against Michigan State, and then next Saturday at Maryland. If they could get one of those 3, I'd be elated. All I want to do, including the Illinois game, was split 2-2, and I would have been happy. Didn't get that done. I didn't feel good going into that game yesterday. I didn't think they'd lose by 27 and only scored 37 points, which was the worst in the last 50 years on the road.
Shot 25% from the floor.
Or actually, with 37 points, that was the lowest scoring by a Purdue team since a 42-33 loss to Loyola Chicago on January 3rd, 1949.
They went to the Final Four 2018, so.
It was the lowest in the Big Ten games since 46-36 loss to Michigan at home on February 23rd, 1948. It was the worst in the last 50 years on the road was 40 at Iowa and a 22-point loss on January 7th, 1982. And they lost 40-39 at home against Northwestern on February 11th, 2004. But historically bad performance, 25% shooting from the field. Like I said, I turned it off early. Second time this year I've done that already. That's more than any other Purdue basketball season. I think in my lifetime I've probably done that. Just don't see how this team's going to make the tournament. I mean, they got opportunities to bounce back playing in a tough Big Ten conference, but I think they are what they are at this point. Just not a good offensive team and a pretty good defensive team, but when you can't make shots and the other team gets out in transition, it's hard to stop the other team. And when you're not getting defensive rebounds and letting the other team just dominate the offensive class, it's tough. And it's just frustrating coming off a year which you made the Elite Eight. You were an eyelash away from making the Final Four. You got some national exposure and some attention. You had good momentum going with recruiting classes, and then you kind of so far have a season like this. And a lot of people, of course, didn't project them to win the Big Ten or anything, but they were ranked to start the year, and a lot of people have them in the top 4 of the Big Ten, and it's just not going that way. They need somebody to step up, and I don't know who that's going to be.
It seems like this Purdue team, once they miss a few in a row, it just kind of gets in their own head, and it's almost game over.
I don't think they're a mentally tough team. I think they're soft physically. When Illinois got physically tough with them, they kind of backed down last night. They were relying on a lot of sophomores to get it done, and they just aren't mature enough and skilled enough to do it right now. They only have 2 seniors on this team, and one's a junior college transfer, one's a grad transfer. The 2 juniors aren't really coming through. No, Gel's good on defense, but he's arguably the worst offensive player in the country. And Matt Harms is up and down, like you said. One game he might go for 26, next game goes for 6. I don't know. It's just hard to put a finger on what's wrong. I mean, you look at this team, and a lot of these guys were big contributors in January and February last year, but also along with Ryan Klein and Grady Eifert, who aren't on the team, when Carson Edwards was struggling. Carson really struggled for a while in Big Ten play, and Purdue found ways to win games and ultimately win the conference championship or tie for the conference championship. But a lot of basketball left to be played, but at this point, I'm just ready for the season to be over because I just have not enjoyed watching them play.
You haven't really watched much college basketball outside of
taking my enjoyment out of it, I hate to say.
Oh, I'm with you. It was that way for me. It still kind of is. I still don't really enjoy watching
But speaking of it, I mean, what's your thoughts on the Big Ten right now? We kind of hit on how it's a tough conference and nobody can win on the road, but I mean, what's your evaluation on teams so far?
Michigan State struggled early. I mean, they lost to – did they lose to Kentucky? I know they lost to Duke.
The opening –
Yeah, I want to say that was Kentucky.
Yeah.
They lost to Duke at home. Who else they lose to? They have at least
I'll look it up.
3 or 4 losses. But they, I think, are about to get rolling and will be in that 1-seed conversation by the time the season ends. Their role players are stepping up. Marcus Bingham, guys like him. Xavier Tillman's been great. Kyle Lawrence has been good as well. So they're rolling. Michigan started to struggle a little bit, which we kind of predicted. They had that great week in the Bahamas where they beat North Carolina, who's turned out to be not very good.
Kentucky, Virginia Tech, and
Virginia Tech
Duke.
and the Maui. I forgot about the
3
Vol
losses.
Tech one. So they lost those 3 pretty early and even fell down the rankings. But as I said, I think when the time comes, they'll be on that 1-seed or 2-seeded line. They're a really good team. Cassius Winston's the best player in the conference.
almost lost the Seton Hall game to beat them at 3.
Yeah, they did, and that, of course that was early as well.
Yeah,
that was the
that was
Gavitt
the third game of the year.
Yep. So they've started to click, and they're a good team. Michigan, I think, is a good team as well. I don't think they're as good as whatever they're ranked now. I'm not sure.
They were
what they're
12th
ranked.
coming into today, but I'm sure they fell. I mean, they have 4 losses now.
And Michigan State took it to them yesterday.
Yeah, Michigan State's up to 8th now, according to my phone. Michigan's down to 19th.
Maryland was winning games.
They're 12th ranked right now.
But they had some struggle moments just scoring the ball, but it feels like they're playing better.
They're
now.
athletic, but
They killed Indiana on Saturday. They got up 20,
bad matchup for
29
IU.
at one point. They're really tough at home. They don't lose many home games.
Will they lose tomorrow at home against number 11 Ohio State?
I am going to say no. Speaking of Ohio State, they, as he said, had a loss at home to Wisconsin.
11-3 now.
That's not a great loss either. I mean, they had a win against Kentucky just a few weeks ago.
They've only played 2 road games. They're 1-1 on the road. And Maryland's 9-0 at home.
Thad Matta's scheduling must have stuck around because he would never play tough schedules, never schedule road games, which not many people do in the non-con, I guess. But I believe they're a good team. They're still really young as well.
Yeah. There's one other intriguing matchup in the Big Ten tomorrow. It's number 20, Penn State at Rutgers.
Speaking of Penn State, they had a good win at the Palestra against Iowa. I think Penn State's 100% for real. Now, with Iowa, with Jordan Bohannon being out, I think I could see them falling off to the wayside.
You got Penn State is 1-1 on the road this year, but Rutgers is 10-0 in the rack.
And I am.
But they are playing without Geo Baker now for a little while.
How long is he going to be out? Do we know?
It's a thumb or hand injury. So
I was bullish on this Rutgers team coming into the year. I've really been bullish on them since Steve Peichel was hired. I think he's a heck of a ball coach there when he was at Stony Brook, and I thought he'd turn them into a solid, scary team to go on the road and face, and he has turned them into that. And I think they get a win against Penn State.
I'll take Maryland in the first game, the Ohio State-Maryland game, and I'm going to take Penn State on the road against Rutgers. I think they got by Nebraska, I think it was the other day, without Geo, but Penn State's a little better than Nebraska.
I think Ohio State loses twice this week.
That answers the one later on. Iowa 10-4 at 6-8 Nebraska tomorrow.
I think Iowa gets it done. Nebraska is just not very good. That was really still a puzzling loss to me for Purdue, even though
they just played bad, and
even though I know they've had road struggles and you don't feel good about them right now.
Can't put the ball in the hole. And it was another game like that. And Nebraska shot pretty well that game. It was just.
But remember, 2 days before that, Nebraska played really well at Indiana, and so maybe they kind of carried that mojo over a little bit. So
well, that's what disappointed me about Purdue yesterday was they actually showed heart and grit and toughness Thursday night in a double overtime win against Minnesota. Then they turned around Sunday, and it didn't even look like they wanted to be there.
Got punched in the mouth early, and it was almost game over.
Should have known from Harm's airball.
Yeah,
first shot of the game. It was going to be a long night, and it was over 5 minutes into the game. But 5-8 Northwestern heads to 11-3 Indiana Wednesday night.
Indiana, large.
Yeah, if they don't win that one, then there's reason to panic in Bloomington if they lose that one at home. And your Illini are at the Kohl Center, 10-5 against 9-5 on Wednesday night.
Maybe it's just because I'm feeling good, but I'm picking the Illini to finally break that streak. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but I feel pretty good right now.
Going with the home team, and we just it's kind of we're beating on a. I don't know. I don't know what the comparison I'm trying to say. Broken record. Sound like a broken record.
Just picking the home team.
Yeah, picking the home team because it's so hard to win on the road in the Big Ten. So, and then Purdue at Michigan Thursday, 9-6 against 10-4.
Give me the home team
easily. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that one at all. Really trying to get myself in the right mind to even want to watch the game. I'm having troubles. I don't know.
It's easier to watch college basketball when you know your team's bad.
That's such a bad feeling.
Coming into the year like I knew Illinois was bad the past 2 years. It's a terrible feeling.
Last year you had your hopes up.
I had my hopes up, and then I realized this team's pretty dang young, starting 3 freshmen, and it didn't turn out good. But
and you got Minnesota 8-6 traveling to East Lansing to take on the 12-3 Spartans Thursday night.
This Minnesota team's a lot better than 8-6. However, Michigan State might end up being the best team in the country at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but
yeah, I'm taking Michigan State. And then Friday night we got Maryland at Iowa.
Man, Iowa without Bohannon, they're still a solid team. I don't know if they're a turn
Maryland's
team.
0-2 on the road this year.
But give me Maryland. They've played better of late. So give me the
home.
Terps.
I'm sticking with the home team again.
I'll branch out, man.
Maybe I will here. 11 Ohio State at Indiana on Saturday.
Oh, you definitely will. I think Indiana wins.
I'll branch out for once. Say road team wins here.
At home, Ohio State needs it because they could fall to.
Yeah, that's big if you lose them both and fall to
4, I think, in the conference. So
Rutgers at Illinois on Saturday.
Give me the home team. Hopefully they can continue playing at home like they have. Really, outside of the first half against Miami, they've been really good at home. So hopefully they can.
I think Illinois gets that done. Wisconsin at Penn State.
Give me Penn State.
I agree. And then a barn burner, Nebraska at Northwestern.
I think Northwestern gets their one and only Big Ten win.
I'll agree with that.
Right here.
That's the only road game I think Purdue might win. They have 8 left.
Will win.
And they might win that one. Michigan State at Purdue on Sunday.
Oh, man. The magic of Mackey against you didn't think they had a prayer against Virginia. Of course, Michigan State's a lot better than Virginia.
I knew that crowd was going to be amped up. I think the crowd will still be amped
up.
They'll
be amped.
This is the Purdue's second least favorite team, Purdue fans.
But give me Sparty. They're really freaking good.
I agree. And then Michigan at Minnesota Sunday night.
Give me Minnesota. Minnesota's a really good point guard, Marcus Carr. Two really good I think he's a sophomore as well. Two other really
he's a stud.
Good
he's
sophomores.
A Pittsburgh transfer.
Yeah, Gabe Kalisher and Dan Orturo. I hope his name was Dan. I don't know, Daniel Oturo. He's really good as well. Haven't watched them once this year.
I watched them when they played Purdue.
Actually, I take that back. I watched them play Oklahoma.
It's your typical physical Minnesota team.
Rich Pitino's built a pretty good program there.
Yep. Notre Dame's on the road at NC State on Wednesday, and then they return to face Louisville at home on Saturday.
I think Louisville had a bad not a bad home loss.
Home loss to Florida State.
Really, any home loss is bad, but
Notre Dame's 10-4, and I'm not saying they're going to be in the tournament.
They had a nice win at Syracuse on Saturday. I know nothing about NC State.
I don't either,
so don't even want to comment on that game.
I'll say they split.
That's fair. That's a quality cop out.
Yep, better believe it. Then the sixth ranked Butler Bulldogs, highest ranking school history. They play once this week. They're on the road Friday night at Providence.
One of our good friends in Butler grad, I'm not going to say his name, he told us all offseason that Butler was not going to be a good team at all. Here they are ranked 6th in the country. So shame on you.
Butler does what Butler does. They win a lot of ugly games, a lot of close games. They just find ways to tough it out.
Give me Providence, though. I'm starting to pick against Butler.
You tick off all Bulldog Nation, but they about blew that one to St. John's on the road last week.
They were up big, too.
But I will take Butler, but I think it's a close one. Big East beats up on each other, and this isn't a Big East conference that is as good as years past.
You think so? Because I heard guys talking on Fox Sports 1 last night. Of course, Big East and Fox Sports 1 are hand in hand with each
partners.
Other. They were saying this Big East team is the deepest they've ever seen, and you could play the worst team. You could be the best team in the conference, play the worst team in the conference at home.
Maybe I shouldn't have made that statement, having not watched too much college basketball this year, but just with my eyeballs, I don't know. I don't think any team's a Final Four worthy caliber team.
Well, the Associated Press obviously thinks Butler is.
Sure, but I think they're a very good team, but I think they're a ceiling Sweet 16 team.
Yeah.
But right now, if I had to go out and make a bold prediction, they will be the only team from Indiana playing in the NCAA tournament.
Bucket?
No. But
I really don't know much about the Big East. I know Villanova's obviously always very good.
Well, Marquette's actually had a pretty good year.
They had a good.
DePaul's been a surprise.
They've kind of awakened.
Just lost 2 conference games.
That's DePaul, though, one at home to a mediocre.
But that's what a lot of these Big East teams are doing. They beat up on a lot of easy teams in the non-conference, and then they'll beat up on each other during conference. So we'll see. But it's the halfway point in college basketball right now, and I don't know who the player of the year is. It could be Marcus Howard, I guess, from Marquette, averaging 26 per game.
In the
country. In the Big Ten, I think it's Luka Garza right now.
Give me Cassius Winston over Luka. He's going to win it again.
I'll take Luka right now.
Luka's putting up insane numbers, but Cassius is
annoying.
By far the it might end up being Cassius Winston player of the year in college basketball.
We'll see.
I got to be honest, I haven't watched any really good teams this year. Don't know. I haven't watched Duke really once.
They don't have any standout guys
like they did last year. Was just insane.
They have a lot of studs, of course, but
last year was just insane with the guy who's in
Zion Williamson.
New Orleans and Barrett, and they had one other guy as well. But man, that's a good question. We're gonna have to revisit this in a few weeks.
I don't know. I just haven't watched enough either. But Marcus Howard's averaging 26 per game for a team that's only lost 2 or 3 games, so he could be right up there.
Pretty good.
But
he's a good scorer.
Any other thoughts on college basketball before we switch gears and?
I want to talk some football, man.
Yeah, I would love to talk football. Get off this college basketball topic.
Spent a half hour talking college basketball.
Yeah,
I'm sure you just loved it.
Plenty. We got to give the viewers and listeners what they want a little bit.
That's what we're going to be winding down to here.
It's one of our topics.
Couple weeks.
We pride ourselves in NFL, Big Ten, and MLB. You MLB, I just kind of ride your coattails, but I'm gonna have to study up a lot this year to try to know what I'm talking about a little bit.
Speaking of MLB, there are only 3 teams in baseball that have not signed a major league guaranteed contract this offseason. Can you name those 3 teams?
No.
Chicago Cubs, Pittsburgh Pirates, Colorado Rockies.
I had a feeling the Rockies were going to be in there somewhere, just because usually you wouldn't even ask me if I knew who they were.
I wasn't even. I was just thinking. I wasn't even thinking Rockies. I forgot you're a Rockies fan.
No, I'm not. They're my NL team, but I'm not a fan.
Moment, so that's terrible company for the Cubs to be in. But here we are.
Look at the other Chicago team making some moves.
They are making some moves. Who have they signed there? T-Dog.
Gio Gonzalez,
Dallas Keuchel. They traded for Nomar Mazara.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you take over now.
I'm honestly gonna have to look it up. I don't remember. They signed a big.
All I know is they're about 10-1 odds to win it all now in Vegas. And you're talking about a team who hasn't had a winning season in 7 straight years, hasn't made the playoffs in over a decade.
They're a good ball.
At least they're trying. They're going all in. And see what happens.
Something the greedy Ricketts will not do. Ricketts did so much for the franchise, doing all the renovations and all that, but now these past 2
years in a row, you've said they gotta make big moves.
Have to.
Not the Crickets.
And it's on the Ricketts. Theo did not have a good
Ricketts.
2017 offseason, and I don't know if Ricketts are punishing them for it. It's almost like the Ricketts said, man, we won a World Series. What else do you want from us? Which just annoys the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Because I want them to be good every year.
Well, sure.
And if they were to enter,
as you should with a fan, being a fan,
the season with this roster, this team would finish 4th in the Central.
Yeah, I know you've said that quite a bit so far this offseason. So
it's despicable.
Yeah, well, we got a few months. Spring training does start.
Starting a month.
Yeah, but
4 weeks, I think. 5 weeks, maybe.
Surprised you don't have the countdown on.
I'm dreading it. Just dreading it.
Last year was about the most excited you've been for a season in a long time.
2018 was the most
2
excited
years ago,
I've been. And then last year, they didn't do anything, but I still thought, this team's capable of winning it. Then they showed they were not capable of winning it. And I have never looked forward to a season less.
Heck, you might be looking forward to the Miami Dolphins season the most out of any of you.
I am looking forward to the off-season, the NFL off-season.
Yeah.
And draft, which huge draft news today. Tua Tagovailoa entered the draft after there was speculation over the weekend that he was going to stay in school.
Yeah, I have a hunch you're going to need to practice perfecting that name because you're probably going to say it.
Tua Tagovailoa.
You're probably going to say it quite a few times on the podcast going forward.
Hopefully, they're picking 5th. They're kind of in a tough spot because you have a team right behind them in the Chargers who have been rumored to potentially trade up. For that spot, I don't want the Dolphins to trade up and trade one of their first-round picks. But I saw today they've only drafted 6 quarterbacks. Only 6 quarterbacks since Marino retired. Drafted 6.
I believe that.
I favorited it. Do you want to take a gander on who they might be?
Oh, my goodness.
Well, obviously, Ryan Tannehill. I'll give you that one.
I was even trying to think him. I probably wouldn't have got him. I don't know if I can get any other ones right.
We have Brandon Doughty back
from Western Kentucky.
7th round a few years ago. Tannehill, Pat White was a second-round pick.
West Virginia.
Chad Henne was a second-round pick.
Michigan, I should have got that one.
John Beck was a second-round pick. BYU.
BYU.
Josh Heupel in the 6th round.
Oklahoma.
Those
runner-up for the Heisman.
Only 6 quarterbacks.
That's pretty crazy.
I take it back. Cubs, I just saw on my Twitter, might have just signed a guy to a major league deal. Carlos Asuaje. Nope, minor league deal. Doesn't count. Doesn't count.
All right. Let's talk a little football. What a wild card weekend.
Wild and wacky.
It was unbelievable. 4 really good games.
You had the Buffalo Bills doing what the Buffalo Bills do, and that is choke in the playoffs.
Got the fans jumping off vehicles onto tables. Missing tables, breaking their necks.
Got up 16-0. Had a great first drive with the John Brown touchdown pass to Josh Allen, and then kicked 3 field goals. Couldn't punch it in. Had many opportunities to put that ball game away and just refused to do it. Allen had some of the most mind-numbingly dumb.
His fourth quarter is one of the dumbest quarters I've ever seen a quarterback play. I know he was just trying to make plays.
He was trying to do too much.
Yeah, like that lateral. That could have been disastrous.
Yeah, and he did it for no reason. There was like a minute 20 left.
I don't think he knew how much time. I think he saw that guy right there next to him. He could make a play.
He just threw it over his head.
Oh.
But credit to the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
I mean, Deshaun Watson got sacked 7 times.
He made a play when it really needed it, though. Got out of an 8th sack.
That will go on his career highlight reel when it's all said and done, especially if they can find a way to win this week.
They won at Arrowhead early in the season, so.
Yes, so that was a good game. The evil empire in the NFL they're done. They are dead in the water. I proclaimed it back when they lost to Baltimore. I said, maybe this thing is legitimately starting to slip. And you said, don't say that. But then they lose to...
I still didn't believe it was over till 0-0-0 on the clock
to the Chiefs. They lost... who else did they lose to besides the Chiefs and Ravens? They lost at home to the Dolphins. There was one more in there.
They lost at Houston.
They lost at Houston on that... I think it was a Sunday night. There's their 4. 3 of those teams are really good. And one was not. But it just felt like this was the year Tom Brady, and Tom really missed Rob Gronkowski. That offense was horrendous. He really only had 1 or 2 weapons he could truly rely on to throw to, and that was Julian Edelman and James White. Their offensive line wasn't great. Sonny Michel had a decent year running the ball, but they just weren't the same New England Patriots team as they have been in the past. So that defense was good, but still they gave up too many plays late in the season. So Tom Brady is a free agent. Is he with the New England Patriots next year?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's why I've been on my phone. I ran a poll on the Tan and J-Man show the other night. You still got about all week. You can vote for it on Facebook, so go to our Facebook page, the Tan and J-Man show, and vote on it. I had 2 options, retired/new team or back on the Patriots next year. So far, retired/new team is leading 19-12. But Twitter, I had more options on Twitter, and that was on my personal one, but I retweeted it with the Tan and J-Man show account. Let's see here. I said, so where is Tom Brady playing next year? Retired, Patriots, Chargers, or Colts? 24 votes, 50%. So 12 votes are saying Patriots. Chargers are second with 21%, retired at 17%, and Colts 12%. I think he is back playing. I just don't see any way he retires, but I don't think it's for the Patriots next year. I think he's a Charger.
I'm with you. Maybe not as a Charger, but I think he's 100% going to play next year. I just can't see him not, especially after the way this year
His
ended.
options will be limited where he can go play.
Sure. It's kind of one of those, I'll believe it when I see it,
sure.
that he's not with New England.
It wouldn't shock me for him to re-sign with New England and them to go out and get 1 or 2 wide receivers to help him out. And then maybe the dynasty's not dead.
I sure hope.
You know?
As for the other teams he could play with, there's not really a team I think he would step in and make them an immediate Super Bowl contender. I would honestly, at this stage in his career, take Jacoby Brissett over him.
Oh, I don't know.
Brissett's younger. That's one thing he has going for him.
I feel like
Brady
Tom could
just
get him in the right situations with a good offensive line, but
you thought that this year too, and he couldn't do it. The Chargers have a better roster than the Colts do, and maybe, and he's probably a better version of himself than Phillip Rivers is right now. A New England beat writer actually mentioned the Dolphins as a possibility. It would be interesting if they were to draft a Tua Tagovailoa and then maybe sign a Tom Brady, but they have Ryan Fitzpatrick there. And I even said, I don't remember if I said it on the show last week or off the air, that right now I would have taken Ryan Fitzpatrick heading into the playoffs over Tom Brady.
Said it off the air.
Said it off the air. The way Fitzpatrick played at the end of the year and with the way Tom Brady looked, he did not look like he was having fun the other night.
No, he never looks like he's having fun. But
I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah, but no, you're right. But going back to Dynasty, Brady doesn't return. I think McDaniels might finally, if he gets offered a position, he might finally jump and take a head coaching job.
I think he's gone regardless. Even if he doesn't get a head coaching position, I just think it's time for old McDaniels to move on. And probably time for Belichick to move on from McDaniels
It's
as well.
interesting if McDaniels can do anything outside of New England because his year and a half in Denver was not good, and then he took the Colts job 2 years ago only to walk away from it before it ever began. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. No other team, he hasn't been with any other team really, so fits that culture well because he's a little slime ball.
But, and the NFL supposedly dropping the hammer on them within the next 2 weeks. For
slap on the wrist.
Spygate issue again.
But it is a great win for the Titans. Mm-hmm. Derrick Henry was a beast. Tannehill tried to give him the game a couple times.
He did what Tannehill usually does in big moments.
But
he did make a huge throw on 3rd down that essentially ended the thing.
It's incredible that this is the first AFC championship that won't have Roethlisberger, Manning, or Brady in it since
long time. Wasn't it?
Who did the Raiders beat in the AFC Championship?
I don't know.
Back in 02.
2003 playoffs. 2003. I don't know, man.
Yeah, that might have been the last time.
A long time ago.
That was the last time. I'm looking at my board over here. Yeah, that was the last time in the AFC Championship. Wow.
Now we have the new age
Now
quarterbacks.
I gotta go look that up.
At least 3 new age quarterbacks of the younger generation: Patty Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Deshaun Watson. 3 of the best young quarterbacks in football. Add in a veteran Ryan Tannehill now, and mix for a pretty good divisional round.
Yeah, I'm rooting for anybody except the Chiefs.
I'm
It was the
rooting
Raiders
for
over the Titans.
Chiefs.
The Raiders over the Titans, by the way, back in the day. So.
Huh.
Yep.
It's nice to get some new blood in there, and I know you don't like the Chiefs. And Ravens won one back in 2000.
Oh, I'm going to be a huge Texan fan on Sunday. Huge.
I don't see the Titans have any way to...
I could see one of the 2 teams going down this week.
Absolutely.
Chiefs or Ravens.
I'm 100% in agreement with you.
Will I pick that when we pick games in here in a second? Probably not, but...
I definitely won't, I'll tell you that.
Saints.
Laid an egg, man.
Breeze played the worst game he'd played all year. Saints really played the worst game they played all year. First game, they had multiple turnovers all year. They only had 8 turnovers coming into the playoffs.
Wow.
Lowest of all time.
Man.
And
you had a guy in Taysom Hill who threw one pass, and he outplayed Drew Brees. Kirk Cousins finally...
Yeah, I don't think they want him to be the future quarterback, though. He's not.
No, Taysom Hill's not.
He's just a great dynamic player.
Maybe the most versatile player I've ever seen. I mean, he's recovering. He's covering kicks, punts, catching the ball out of the backfield, running it, throwing it, does it all.
But Vikings, Cousins finally won a big game.
Made
a huge play when he needed it.
Mm-hmm. That was a heck of a throw. Great catch by Thielen.
Looked like a center fielder tracking the ball.
He looked like Willie Mays out there.
And then you can, get an argument all day long if it was a push off or not. But really, what I want to focus on is what's it going to take for the NFL to switch it to college style rules.
Of pass interference?
No, of overtime.
Oh, overtime. I can't imagine they'd put the ball at the 25-yard line.
No, you can't, because that would go on forever.
For some reason, I was under the impression that after the Patriots and Chiefs game last year, when the Patriots went down, scored a touchdown, Mahomes didn't get a chance to go down time. For some reason, I was thinking that they implemented a rule that team could go down and try to do that. I think they should, especially maybe not in the regular season. Okay, that's fine. Because there'd just be more ties that way, I imagine. But definitely in the postseason, you need to let a team go down and at least have a chance.
Yeah, I'm fine with having postseason only rules, because if you remember back when the Broncos beat the Steelers on the first play in overtime, Tebow to Demaryius Thomas, that was the first game ever that they implemented if the other team kicks a field goal, the other team gets the ball.
Oh, it was? Okay.
That regular season was still, if the other team kicks field goal, you lose.
Sudden death. Yeah.
So that they changed that in that playoff. Then they finally changed it in the regular season a few years ago too, which I'm cool with that, because losing on a field goal without getting a chance is really frustrating. But
especially if it's a 50-plus yard field goal. I mean, your defense did its job. But
I thought the Saints hurt themselves in the fourth quarter. They didn't play well. Horrible clock management at the end of the game. Kamara, huge mistake.
Right.
Even though they made the field goal to tie it anyways, but then I thought they should have taken the timeout with 21 seconds left and saved a 10-second runoff. Mm-hmm. But I also understand if they didn't, or they did take timeout and then you throw a quick pass and you get tackled in bounds, then you got to rush your kick team on the field. You might rush your kicker and you might miss. Mm-hmm. So I get that. But right when the Vikings won the coin toss, someone said, Vikings are probably going to win this thing. Yep. That's what they did.
Then the Eagles.
It's crazy to think that Drew Brees, much like Dan Marino, great quarterbacks only played in one Super Bowl. The difference is Drew won the Saints. Dolphins didn't. But I would say right now, I mean, I don't know how much longer Drew plays. He's a free agent, which I think he'll be back with the Saints for at least for one more year, maybe two. I'd say one more year. Right now, I'm saying he's not going to make another Super Bowl. I'll even say he and Sean Payton of the era have underachieved.
I agree. Peyton about got fired a few years ago. They had multiple.
They've put up great stats.
Losing seasons.
They've won tons of games, but they've only made one Super Bowl. I know they won it, but they've only made one. They should have made more than that. Definitely last year. which
definitely last year.
Some tough luck. I get it. How's it finished last year? The year before was the Minneapolis Miracle with Case Keenum. But I get it. There has been some bad luck, but the Saints teams are just too good.
Do you think that Saints team 2 years ago goes into Philadelphia and wins and goes to the Super Bowl? Because I believe Philadelphia got the 1 seed that year.
Yeah, it would. They did it earlier in their careers when Drew and Reggie Bush went into Philly and won. I don't know. That's a good question, but I never count the Saints. I always think the Saints have a good chance to win because their offense is usually that good. But hey, credit to the Vikings. I said last week they'd get killed, and they won. So
their offense didn't turn the ball over this year, but it just did not feel like the same dynamic Saints offense. Of course, Drew Brees missed 6 games, but this defense was a lot better than it had been in years past, and I thought this team was set up very well to win a Super Bowl. And
I just can't believe they lost at home.
Lose at home because they don't lose home games.
And their defense couldn't get that stop when it needed it to yesterday. They did in regulation, but they couldn't do it in overtime.
Right.
So. Seattle and
Philadelphia. Carson Wentz gets hurt with about
imagine that
3 minutes left.
I know it was fluky, though.
First quarter's cheap shot by Jadeveon Clowney, but that ended all hope.
Yep.
Josh McCown did the best he could, honestly. He's
fought
a
his
gamer
butt
out
off.
there.
He left everything on the field.
Yeah, I respect the heck out of that guy as quarterback.
You're depending on a 40-year-old quarterback who's never played in the playoffs come in and get you a win.
He was very emotional after the game.
Sure.
Just thanking his whole family for letting him be in that spot, and very appreciative. And he gave all he had.
Just hope those fans appreciate him because that's a tough fan base.
It's a brutal fan base.
They're usually really rude and mean. So
yeah. So
but it was, low-scoring game, 16-9.
All of them were pretty low-scoring.
But that was a game I thought, a game kind of like I envisioned it, and I thought Seattle would pull it off, and they did. And DK Metcalf was huge when really needed, and
he's been a lot better than I thought he would.
Of
course, he had that great combine. He's just a rock, and I heard a lot of reports that his physique could potentially hurt him and prevent flexibility, but they're using him well. I mean, he had a great year as a rookie. And was their best player on the field.
I think he's got to be a future superstar. He might already be. I think he's got to be one of the best wide receivers for many, many years and make a lot of teams look dumb for letting him slide in the second round. But is what it is. So that sets up this weekend's matchups. I got to look. I can't remember what order. I think the Tennessee-Baltimore game's first on Saturday. Yes.
I think Baltimore wins by at least 17.
Whoa.
What?
You think it's going to be a blowout?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Baltimore's a lot better than Tennessee
That's a
is.
second game anyways. So 9.5-point favorites.
I think they cover that easily. I don't think Tennessee will be able to score enough. I mean, Derrick Henry had a great game in New England, but their offense only scored 14 points, and that's the way the NFL's turned to. If you have a great run game, you don't score as many points as if you have a great quarterback. He touched the ball, 35 times, so he could be a little worn down. What Tennessee needs to do is just ball control like they did in New England. Tannehill can't turn the ball over. He has to go make more plays than he did in New England.
Sure.
But I think Baltimore wins fairly easily.
Lamar Jackson does have a playoff game under his belt. Experience was awful in it last year, but he does have one under his belt. I think Baltimore wins, but I'm going to say by 10 points or less. I think it's a little closer than everybody.
I could see with the bye they might come out a little rusty and maybe feel a little bit too much pressure.
If the Titans get up to a 2 touchdowns head start or a 10-point head start, watch out. But the first game on Saturday is Minnesota at San Francisco. San Francisco's a 7-point favorite.
You know, I'm going to bundle both NFC picks together, and this will be the J-Man's Book It prediction of the week. Both road teams will win in the NFC. I think Minnesota goes on the road and beats San Francisco, and then Seattle goes on the road and wins in Green Bay. I don't know why I feel that way. This Green Bay team is, and I've said it before, they are the worst 13-3 team in the history of the league. I like this San Francisco team, but they haven't been in the playoffs in a few years. Could have some immense pressure on them to get it done just to win a game in the playoffs. And I think the Vikings, after having that huge overtime win in Seattle, gets a dub out there. And the J-Man's Book of Prediction of the Week is brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau insurance agent Travis Wottring for life. home, auto, renters, business, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact him at 219-869-4561 and also at travis.wottring@infb.com.
And speaking of Travis Wottring, today on social media, he said today's one of his favorite days of the year as he kicks off a new year helping Indiana families be better protected on their home, auto, life, and business insurance. A big thank you to the 70-plus new families who entrusted him with their insurance in 2019. If you're interested in having Travis help you out with any of your insurance needs, like Josh said, you can contact him at 219-869-4561 or email him at travis.wottring@infb.com. 24 hours, 7 days a week. Let's make 2020 great. That was pretty bold. Book of
Gotta go
prediction you made
bold.
there.
I don't get very many of them right.
I'm going with the Niners at home. I'm a big Kyle Shanahan fan. I've been on record of that many, many times saying that, even though I wussed out and had them going 6-10 after praising them all off season. But if I would have picked them, then they would have went 6-10. That's just how it is. But I like them to beat the Vikings. But if the Vikings win this game, they might just go to the Super Bowl because I just keep picking against them. I think it'll be a good game, though. Then your first game on Sundays, Texans at Chiefs.
I think that line's bigger than the Titan-Raven game, isn't it?
It's 9.5 also.
9.5
both
also.
of them. Yep.
I think the Chiefs win. I think this is a closer game. I think they win by about 10. Two defenses that are not very good, especially secondary-wise. I think Chiefs' defense played a lot better at the end of the year. Maybe they can keep that rolling, but I think this will be a high-scoring game, something like 31-27, 31-24, 31-21, something like that.
I haven't been bold tonight except for teams I don't like, and that's what I'm doing here again. I'm picking the Texans. I think the Chiefs are the better team. I'm just hoping somehow that Andy Reid just pulls an Andy Reid special and finds a way to lose a playoff game. I'm taking the Texans. I think I like what J.J. Watt influence in the defense coming back Saturday. I thought he played pretty well. And then your nightcap for Sunday's Seattle at Green Bay. You picked Seattle.
Pick Seattle.
I will go with the home team here and pick Green Bay. Even though I even went on record last week in Kansas City and Seattle's been my Super Bowl pick, but I'm going against it this week. And I think it's going to be the frozen tundra there in Green Bay.
Hopefully it's snowing. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers finds a way to get it done. But that's going to be a fun matchup to watch. Russell Wilson against Aaron Rodgers.
What time are those games Sunday, dude?
3:05 and 6:40.
They changed it up because
and your Saturdays 4:35 and 8:15.
Just like it was this past Saturday.
Early game out. That's a 1:35 start in San Fran. 4:35.
Early, isn't it, man?
Yeah. Interesting note here. My dad sent me. That was Drew Brees' fourth overtime playoff game. Ties Brett Favre. He played 4 overtime playoff games. They played one against each other. The NFC Championship.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one, too.
Which I guess the Vikings kind of got revenge for that.
Yeah.
Vikings have the Saints number, likely, especially in the playoffs. But it was a fun weekend of playoff football, and I look for this next weekend
to be equally.
Hopefully it's fun because college football, after tonight's little bowl game, we're done with it for a week until the national championship next Monday.
I'm kind of perturbed the national championship is not tonight. I'm just perturbed about that.
It's a bad TV night tonight.
It's terrible. It's brutal.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about the playoff last week. That Ohio State Clemson game will go down as a classic.
Sure.
What Joe Burrow did to Oklahoma is just
butt whooping. I mean, it was unbelievable.
7 touchdowns in the first half.
I think Ohio State cost themselves the game with roughing the punter and going helmet to helmet against Lawrence.
And the officials didn't help with what looked like a clear fumble 6. They overturned it, too, is the thing.
Then Fields threw a late pick. Great game, though, like you said.
Great game.
Either Clemson or Ohio State, if either one of them, whoever was going to win, I said it was going to be a toss-up between LSU. We'll pick that game next Monday, but it's going to be a fun one. It could almost be like the quarterback matchup of our generation compared to like Bird and Johnson back in the day.
Well, you got to imagine Joe Burrow's going to go 1 in the draft this year, and Trevor Lawrence would be next year. So, yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be 2 really good teams, a lot of athleticism, of course, a lot of speed, 2 good coaches. Yeah, I'm calling Ed Orgeron a good coach after
Coach Ed.
He finally had a really good year this year. He kind of needed it.
I think USC screwed up not keeping him when he was interim.
He struggled at Ole Miss. I get why he got fired there years ago. But he's SEC through and through. He gets the Bayou Bengal culture down there. Dabo's one of the best ever to do it. If Clemson wins this one, that's 3 of the last 4. Can we start hating them? Like we do Alabama?
I'll start.
Except Dabo's not as unlikable as Saban. But I don't think you
I agree
can
with
be
you.
unlikable
However,
as Saban.
Dabo says some pretty dumb things. He said he will absolutely quit coaching if players start getting paid.
Yeah.
He's making $12 million, so that kind of makes him hateable.
Sure.
The Indiana Hoosiers lost a heartbreaker to Tennessee, a real bad heartbreaker.
Unbelievable choke job. I mean, teams going into that game this year when having a 13-point lead or more with 5 minutes to go were 0-471. Teams that had that deficit, I should say. Now they're 1-471 because Tennessee pulled it off.
Shockingly.
It was just, I don't know. IU's defense fell apart, and then their offense just got them in field goal range, but they missed.
I know you don't, but I feel bad for Indiana Hoosier football fans.
I feel bad for the actual Indiana Hoosier football fans, not the ones that just rooted for them in the bowl game or that wear blue and gold most Saturdays. The Cameron and Carter Screetons, the Austin Fausts, the Garrett Weinigers of the world, those guys I feel bad for.
Indiana Hoosier football is a lot like Illinois football in that regard.
You guys have seen the Rose Bowl.
Sure.
You guys have won a bowl game since 91.
Sure. So, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but yeah.
But, all right, hit me with Birdie Bogey. I won't look at your computer.
Yes.
I think I remember the question.
Greg Popovich, as of May, he had 1,234 wins, making him the most for the active NBA head coaches. Can you name me 3 of the other 4 right behind him?
Rick Carlisle.
He is one of them. He is 3rd with 616.
Eric Spoelstra.
No.
He's not on there.
Nope.
Active. I couldn't tell you who's in. I can't imagine Frank Vogel's in there then.
Nope.
Because those are the other 2 guys I was thinking.
You're getting a bogey this week.
You can give me a par. I got 1. I give you pars all the time when you get
1 out of 4. 3?
You get 1 out of 4, and I give you a par because I'm a nice guy. I couldn't tell you who's in the NBA as the head coach.
I thought I might stop.
Is Stan Van Gundy still around?
No. If he is, he's not on this list. You're gonna kick yourself, man.
Is Tom Thibodeau still around?
Dude, you're gonna kick yourself.
Oh, Steve Kerr.
No,
he's not on there.
Yeah, these guys have coached for a long time.
Dude, I don't watch the freaking NBA. I said Rick Carlisle.
Nate McMillan's 5th with
how the heck would I know that he's on there?
610. Mike D'Antoni, 615.
I didn't know
he's
he
4th.
was still coaching. Is he with the Rockets?
Doc Rivers, 884, number 2.
That's bad.
Wrap it up, J-Man.
Thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man Show live on the ISC Sports Network and free ISC Sports Network app. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, as well as
Audio Boom, and pretty much anywhere you listen and subscribe to podcasts. Please give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Helps us out a bunch.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Noble Gnome LLC and Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Wottring. Also looking for a sponsor for the show, so contact either Tanner and I on our personal Twitter pages, or you can
text, call, whatever. Just get a hold of us.
Facebook us. His personal Twitter is
@the_T_Lee.
Mine is @Dog16. We'll be back at it next Monday night to talk a little NCAA National Championship football game. Have a good week, everybody.